is not just about chunks. It's about making sure that you are aware of what you're doing, taking this conscious approach to language learning, spending time with words so they can get internalized. Yeah, I like sometimes to joke with adult students and they understand my jokes, and I literally say to them, listen, to remember a word, you need to переспать со словом. You know, I say that, okay? Because it makes sense. It's not yours until you literally fall in love, you know? So it's an act of love with a word so that you can, like, be the one who would reign it, okay?
Exactly.
So,
And you know, we often hear people kind of complain or feel sad about things that come on, I cram this, I do my best to hammer this into my head, but then I can't use that. What's the problem? And the problem is that sometimes there is a huge gap between just seeing a phrase or a chunk and being able to use this. And this gap is all about a lack of knowledge. That's why whenever I have my students, my new students in my course, which is kind of chunk based and lexical approach based, I mean, this is some people see one, I have this question, what does this mean to know a lexical item? They often say at the beginning something like, you know the definition, okay. And then we see why definition is never enough. Okay,
right.
just because when people say, I know the word, but I can't use that, or I know a chunk, but I can't use that, it means that they just do not know it, in fact. So
Or
we
they
need to.
just know the translation and think that the way the word works in Russian would work in English, which is a
Absolutely.
total faux pas to make. Yeah, when you start speaking English, right? For sure, for sure.
Exactly.
So generally, the lexical approach is again about this, as we say in Russian, осознанный подход к обучению слов. Yeah, it's important to make sure that you spend time with words because, listen, I don't know about you, by the way, and you guys, let us know whether you actually teach or learn lexically, okay? If you do, just leave a plus for us, all right? Thank you for comments, by the way, about our not bad English. Yeah, it's a compliment of the highest order. When I was working at schools, I worked at 2 schools and a university. I observed a lot of classes, and generally what I saw was the act of learning, for sure. It was quite serious, it was quite professional, but the lack of time spent on actually learning and internalizing vocabulary. It was all about like quick reactions, like you learn a word, you notice a word, next time you're supposed to recycle it. But how about those stages that I talked about in one of my previous live streams? Remember this noticing, retrieval, creative use? Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. I mean,
Exactly.
on the same team. You see, no one notices that. They think that it's a waste of time. And most importantly, Natasha, I would like you to comment on this. A lot of teachers admit that sometimes they think that spending too much time with the same list of phrases means boredom. Like, we are getting them bored, our students. We are not going anywhere, but I think that far too little emphasis is being put on it. I think it's not about boredom, it's not about entertainment, it's about learning. It's about being aware, it's about raising consciousness. What do you have to say on this?
You see, I can may just come back one point
Sure.
before. What I mean is that, of course, it does take hell of a lot of time and hell of a lot of work. But and I do understand those teachers who feel anxious because they kind of, they judge their progress by the number of exercises they have
Right.
completed. And it's absolutely understandable because sometimes we see that we have kind of syllabus that forces us to think so. But if you take a look at, if you consider a real language learning, we have to understand that our ability to memorize something and use something consequently, I mean an item, it doesn't depend on how kind of many exercises you have done and on how many times you have written the word. Can you remember back at school we would be often made to write this 10 lines of one word? No, our success doesn't depend on this. Our success does depend on how much cognitive effort we have made, on how much we have made our brain work or, you know, plug away on an item, because this is, again, this is how our brain works. It's our conscious learning. And what I'm driving at, the more time you spend thinking about how an item works, the more context you analyze, the more you kind of consciously manipulate it, the more likely you are to use it in practice. So while you're wasting this time on studying, on looking at contexts, on, you know, going to dictionaries, or, you know, watching films to get exposure, the more likely you are actually to use this in your own language, right? And this is what we often get overlooked. So you're doing this not because you're wasting time, but you're doing this because in this process you get to memorize this, and this gives you chances to use this in practice. And when my students kind of start, you know, moaning about, come on, that's so long, it's so difficult, I do not have so much time. And, you know, whenever I kind of talk to them about some principle of lexis work, you know, the thought that I see running in their eyes is, you know, calculating time. Where am I going to get so much time to do all that? But I said, come on, guys, you either do it this way and you memorize and your English is brilliant, or you do actually spend some time, but you do not get results. Yeah? It's like you spend time anyway, but the thing that important is whether you get your outcome, I mean, your final outcome, or not really.
Fair point, you know, because, you know, on my part, when I have This Is Us course, you know, this Is Us course, or one-on-one classes, we spend 3, sometimes even 4 classes on one episode. It's like 20 expressions, you know, 20 phrases, and it's like 6 hours, you know. And my colleagues, when they come to me, first what they say is like, wow, so it means like a month spent on one episode? And I'm like, yeah, but isn't it about the journey? Isn't it about the fun with words? Isn't it about just trying to make sure that they look great on you, that you use them correctly, that you're not just using them for the sake of using them, yeah, but for the sake of driving ideas home, you know? And then time passes, they mellow down, and they kind of understand that, you know, yeah, it takes time, let's take it easy, I'm not rushing anywhere. You know, Anastasia says, yes, learning a language is all about time, for sure. Listen, there's no panacea, right?
Absolutely. And you have to use this time wisely, just to get something as a result, not a list of phrases. Okay, I've learned that, I've ticked the boxes, and that's it. But your result is all about your ability to use this precisely, appropriately, confidently. And, you know, I can say that the same is the case with my course. It basically consists of 3 modules. Let's call them episodes, okay? Yeah. And within each module, I have about maybe 25 lexical items or something, right? Maybe 30. And we spent 2 months manipulating them. Of course, I put them in different contexts. We do different communicative tasks. We discuss, we debate, we compare, contrast, whatever. But still we have one and the same set of items recycled, revised, recycled, revised. And then, you know, I just said, come on, I finally can use this. How come? How do you do that? I mean, this is what my students say. They just get impressed. Okay, you're doing this, and then you somehow start using all that, and it's not, you know, this pain in the neck any longer. Yeah, and this does